Mick Lynch is the Grinch that ruined Christmas with his strike action. What do you make of that?
We've not ruined Christmas. People can still travel. We haven't ruined Christmas. People can still travel home. And we've named our action specifically to allow people to do that. So we've got some strike action before Christmas, we've got some strike action after Christmas, and we've got an overtime ban on in between. But it won't stop people getting home for Christmas.
What do you say to the UK hospitality sector that have come out apparently in force arguing that your strikes are not fair and are going to damage the economy? What do you say to them?
Well, I've never seen employers yet who don't argue that strikes shouldn't happen. That's just a common feature. So I'm not surprised.
The way that the strikes have been reported in the tabloid press this morning, you haven't come across as well as perhaps you would like to. Why do you think the tabloids report strikes in the way that they do?
Well, they've got an agenda. I mean, I've never seen any tabloid newspaper report an industrial story from the point of view of supporting workers. It's always repeating lines given to them by the employers, repeating lines given to them by the government, and it's all about attacking the trade unions and trying to undermine the support they've got with the general public. That's what their purpose is, I suppose.
So the state of negotiations with the government at the moment, you believe that the Tories are now staving off a payoff or any offer on the table. Why do you think that?
I don't understand what their rationale is, but we've known, or at least I've suspected right from the start of this dispute, that there has been interference from government. We think they singled us out to try and pick on us. They were going to take us on in a dispute, try and paint us as the enemies within, and then hopefully call an early general election and sail through. But they've had an awful kickback since then. They've made a complete mess of the economy. We've been going through prime ministers and chancellors and ministers at a pace through that period. But it's pretty clear they are influencing what's going on and preventing employers from making settlements with us.
You've got quite a high stake strike, really. A lot of other organisations are talking about going on strike, but you're sort of like the main trailblazers for that in this period. Are you worried that if this falls through, it could have a knock-on domino effect on other industries?
That's why we can't fail. We have to keep pressing the case for our members. By the way, our members want this action. They were calling for us to name escalated strike action. That's what we've done. And if we don't get settlements in this period of strike action, then we'll intensify and name more strike action in the new year. We've got 30,000 of our members who voted 92% in favour of taking on more strike action. And they're buoyant and they want to have the fight, so we're going to give it to them.
But it's not just the pay or the offer, is it? The terms and conditions are really important, and they have the potential to set the precedent for the next 40 years for workers to come. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's very, very important. And some of our members who are going to be most affected by proposed changes are telling us their conditions are more important to them, in fact, than money at this point in time. And these are people that haven't had a pay rise for a couple of years now. So what they'll be seeing is a dramatic shift in more unsocial hours working, more night work, more weekend work. And these are people who work 39 weeks of nights throughout the course of the year. And they work 65 full weekend shifts and 39 full weekend shifts and another 65 individual shifts on a weekend over the course of a year. So that's already an awful lot of unsocial hours working, shifts that are rostered 24/7 around the clock, and they're going to see a dramatic increase, something like almost 50% more shift work. And this is heavy work. It's not sitting behind a desk. These are people who are out working in the middle of the night, lifting rails and shoveling ballast and doing all that kind of heavy stuff. And some of our people are telling us they just can't do it. I had a bloke who's one of our reps, 20 years on the job. He's not close to retirement yet, but he's done 20 years on a job, and he's saying, I just can't do this. All our families, we get no time at home. This is it's going to cause problems for people in their relationships at home. They won't be able to see their kids. So it's really important when we get this right. And what we've done is we've made proposals to the employers to say, this is how you can get the deployment you want. This is how you can get the flexible deployment that you're after, but also protect our people from a dramatic shift to more unsocial hours working. And so far they haven't moved. They've been unprepared to listen to reasoned sort of arguments. And that's why we've got the strike action on.
Do you worry that the ball really is in the Department for Transport's court? Because as we're approaching Christmas, which is notoriously the most expensive time of the year, and your members are going on strike without pay, meaning that their pay packet is obviously going to be a lot smaller than it would have been. I mean, are you concerned that some people might start bailing out of strikes?
Yeah, strike action isn't easy, and anyone who's been in a long dispute will tell you the toll it takes. So some of the reps who are with me in negotiations are starting to sell things at home. One of the reps who was with me in negotiations is going to lose 17 shifts over the course of this set of strike action. That's on top of what's already been lost. It's taken a toll on families, and a lot of our members are low paid. The majority of our members in Network Rail are below £35,000 a year. We've got an awful lot of people out there on 18, 20, 24 grand, so it's not a lot of high pay. So it is tough, but you lose money in a dispute, and it's not easy. So we have to just keep going. At the moment, our members want to carry on fighting, but it's a bit of an unequal fight, if you like, because the employers are being indemnified by the government. Any losses they incur from strike action are just being underwritten by the taxpayer. No one in this country was asked whether they want to see their taxpayers' money spent on that, but that's a fact. They're being underwritten for any losses from strike pay. They're being guaranteed profits, irrespective of how the industry is performing. And they're, coming down like a ton of bricks on top of the workers that are delivering the railway. So it is tough, and there's always a worry people will start to lose heart. But at the moment, our members are really strong. They're telling us we want more action, not less, that they're prepared to tighten their belts and fight for it because they believe it's right.
Talk about a lot of these workers going home to visit family.
Yeah.
Keir Starmer yesterday gave a big speech about how the country needs to wean itself off of foreign labour. What would you say to that? Well,
it's the CBI calling for more immigration, and what this is a shortcut. This is an argument about wages. It's by the back door. What employers are saying for like the hospitality sector, they're complaining about our strikes, but they're a sector of the economy that they need to take a look at themselves. The reason why they want foreign labour so much is because they know they can exploit them more than people that are living here now. And what we need is higher wages. I don't care where someone comes from, I don't care what colour they are, what part of the world they come from. I think people should be paid well for the work that they do. So what this is about is a shortcut. It's trying to get around the cost of living crisis where people can't afford to work in some of these jobs as it stands by trying to bring labour in from elsewhere. They need to raise the wages. That's what they need to do. That's the problem. If they can't find people to do the jobs, if they put the wages up, they'll soon find people to do the jobs.
A high wage economy is
what
Labour are after, and
Yeah.
yourselves. I mean, does that mean that Labour and the ministers should be out on picket lines? Is that the only way to achieve that?
I think the Labour Party has to recognise its roots and what it was brought about for, and that was to represent the interests of working class people in Parliament. They've become something else in recent times. I'm under no illusions we're going to have, people from the Blairite camp out singing and cheering on picket lines and all the rest of it. But as a party, it needs to realign itself with working class people if it's going to survive. Because, if you don't stand for something, people just won't regard you as an option. And I think they're losing support, hand over fist. We're in a situation now where the UK seems to be breaking up almost. Talks of independence is back on the table in Scotland. What's the Labour Party going to be for in a few years' time? If they're not representing the interests of ordinary people, then what are they for? And I think that's a problem they face.
Great. Thanks.
All right.